Welcome to The Real Heal. I am your host, Dr. Renee Wallenstein, also known as the libidoologist. So if you're ready, let's get into it. I am so excited to welcome you to the show, Amy. Thank you for coming.
Thank you, doctor. I'm very pleased to be here.
Now, as we were saying before I hit record, I think I've had one other aromatherapy expert on the show in the 4 years that this show has been in existence. So this is not something we talk about often. And I bring on truly experts in the field, not someone who just is dabbling and selling oil, someone who lives it day in and day out. And that's you. And so I'm really excited to get your take on essential oils and aromatherapy and the whole big topic that seems so mysterious to many women and men alike. But again, most women listen to this podcast. So, but before we get into it, why don't you tell us who you are and how you got doing what you're doing today?
I'd love to share that. So my name is Amy Anthony, the aromatherapist. So I thought the alliteration there is kind of funny. And long and short of the story, I grew up in the Hudson Valley of New York. I have fond memories of weeding, the gardens, always being outside, playing in the wetlands and farmlands. So it was just a part of me. And I always wanted to be by plants. I wanted to study landscape architecture when I was in high school, but that really didn't happen. And this is important. We moved from the East Coast to Western New York, and I was 15. I was miserable, totally miserable. Who wants to do that? But plants were my salvation. I started to study plants, try to learn their Latin names. I planned an herb garden when I was 15. I was always doing plant stuff with my mom. And then I really, in my heart of hearts, needed to get back to the New York City area. I really needed the culture, the museums, the arts. I'm a huge art fan. I must have art in my life. So I found myself in New York City going to college, business school. I had to get the job. I started a corporate career when I was in college, and I was in the market research field, and I always tried to stay connected to nature. I knew I was ungrounded living in New York City. So visit the botanical gardens, try to have my little house plants. And nature was always calling. And over the years, I was kind of miserable in my soul. And my spouse is a gracious man. I said, I can't do this corporate stuff anymore. My last real job, in quotes, was at a major global bank. And the essential oils found me. It took me years to realize it, but that was my way to connect with nature. And this is my big message being on other people's podcasts, is essential oils connect us with nature. And long and short, again, I'm rambling a bit, but the oils found me in probably 2012. That's when I took my first workshop, and I was floored. I needed to know more. Who are they? What do they do? All this stuff. And then I became obsessed. I must become certified. I didn't know why. And then I became certified in 2015. Luckily, Amy Galper, my first teacher, opened a school 3 blocks from our apartment, if the universe wasn't knocking. So then I got my 2 certifications, and I was asked to teach. And that was it. And I was just in this. And I needed to be by nature, and this was the way. So that's
what a great story. I mean, to start like an herb garden at the age of 15, and look at you today. It's like, and it's what I heard is like you followed your intuitive pull towards plants and wherever that and you got, again, you tried to conform to the traditional, get the business degree and get a job. And that's not where your heart is. Your heart's right where it is now. And I love that. And that's why you're on today, because you truly, like I said, live it, breathe it. You are the real deal. So, and you really have no affiliations, you have your own herb garden or your own garden. Is that correct? Yeah. And so we can talk all about that. But, I love that you're just going to give us sort of like the overall gist of aromatherapy and uses and benefits and all the good things, because honestly, if you're listening to this show, you're probably, one of many women who are overwhelmed, stressed, have a lot of things that you're trying to work on with your health, but you just want something to help you along the way. And in my opinion, oils are an amazing resource to have on hand for so many emotions and symptoms. But we're going to sort of focus more on the emotional part later on when we talk about essential oils in like specific ones. But before we get into that, can you just tell us a little bit more about aromatherapy? Like, what is it? And, what are its benefits? Like, how does it work and what are its benefits?
Yeah, I love that question because it's a heavy question.
Yep.
Aromatherapy is a textbook definition.
Mhm.
The therapeutic application of genuine and authentic essential oils to holistically support the mind, body, spirit, soul, and a way to connect with nature. That's a big part of my definition. So, one of the key takeaways for folks that might not be sure of what aromatherapy is, we are only working with botanical, genuine, authentic botanicals we take like lavender flowering tops and they are steam distilled in a traditional still. And we are working with essential oils, not perfume, not synthetics. We can have a therapeutic perfume, by the way, but we're not working with adulterated things, no synthetics, no chemicals. It has to be from a genuine botanical source. And when you're looking to buy an essential oil, usually have thousands in front of me. I'm doing a client thing right in front of me, so I can't mess that up. I have cypress in front of me. Cupressa sempervirens, I see on the bottle. It's the Latin name. I want to know that. I want to know that this is what it is from one botanical source. It should tell me where it's from. I should be able to contact the manufacturer and say, hey, I want to know more about this oil and the lot number.
Mm.
So like real specific.
Mhm.
And I could go on into more, but I want to pause in case you have a question.
No, that's great. And so I love that because one of the other questions I have a little bit later on, and maybe we can just get into it now, is like, how do we choose clean oils? Because I think that's a big thing. I think there's so many options out there, and I'm not asking for like a particular company name. I'm just
Mhm,
asking like, what are some things that people can look into? Like you just said, make sure it's the plant like Latin name, and
mhm,
you can contact the company and say, okay, what lot number is this from? And like, like what specific things, because again, I always warn my audience about marketing ploys and like something says natural and something says, I mean, they're just words that are thrown around and so many people think natural equals good for you means 100%, you know, non, natural. I don't even know what alternative name to say, but like not including any synthetics
mhm.
or and even down to the point of like distillation, I don't know, do they use chemicals to distill the
No,
oils?
no. Could we segue by that? So essential
Absolutely.
oils. So this is fun. Just this past weekend, I was the expert at the Governor's Island. Every year there's a lavender festival. So we harvested lavender grown on Governor's Island in New York, and we distilled it. So we took the Lavandula angustifolia, just took the flowers, and we put it in the still with water,
Mm,
and that's it.
mm,
We don't want to put anything else in. So yes, we don't. That's it. It's an old process. And what we do is we took about 2 pounds of plant material and we packed the still and we sealed the joints and we applied heat. And then what happens is steam is created and it goes through the plant material and it starts to break open the little glands that hold the essential oil, and that oil's carried on the steam and goes
mm.
over and it's hit by a cold condenser.
Yep.
So it's really hot stuff, hits this cold condensing water, this water bath, and the oil goes through a tube. And out you get the pure essential oil, just a little bit, and the forever changed water called the hydrosol. So if
Mm,
people aren't familiar with that, if you have rose water in your life,
mhm,
rose water, genuine rose water comes from that distillation process. So
mm,
yes, there's chemistry involved because it's a physical process of distillation. And there's magic. I love this. I hope you love this too. When we take scent, it's invisible. And when we distill the plant material, we're making that invisible stuff visible through that
mm,
essential oil. And a big takeaway to go back to your like natural greenwashing. Yes, essential oils are natural, but they are incredibly concentrated.
mhm,
It takes a lot of plant material. I have this bottle of cypress. It probably took I'm going to make this figure up. I'd have to do a fact check, but it probably took 300 pounds of plant material to get a pound of oil.
Wow.
So super concentrated. So that means even though it's natural, you shouldn't use it a lot. You shouldn't put it on your body every day. It should be diluted, so concentrated stuff. So please, I hope everyone walks away from our discussion like really taking that to heart.
I do notice some essential oils are already diluted, which is interesting because you don't know that. And unless you look at the, you know, ingredients, it'll say whatever the oil is, and then fractionated coconut oil or whatever the carrier oil is. And it's interesting because I mean, obviously those you can put right on your skin
Mm-hmm.
but it's just so interesting how like they then dilute the very minute concentrated oil to make a greater volume by already putting it in a carrier oil. So, which is great. So you don't have to get a carrier oil, but then it's another thing to look at if you're
Yeah.
purchasing essential oils. But what are some of the benefits? Actually, let's go back. How does it actually work when we inhale this scent? Because that's essentially, you distill, you get the lavender you can smell, but then you put it into a physical oil, but then the general, one of the mechanisms is actually inhaling the oil,
Mm-hmm.
either diffusing or putting it, cupping your hand, putting on your hands and smelling, or I see you're smelling as
Yeah.
we're talking.
Perfume or scent strip. Yeah. Yeah. So
So how does that work?
yeah, it's really cool. So essential oils they're chemicals,
Hmm.
but like botanical chemicals obtained from these aromatic plants. And we look at the biochemistry of the plant. This is a way to segue into how we can work with us. So but aromatic plants produce these to defend themselves. Essential oils are incredibly antimicrobial, antibacterial. There's a lot of data that supports that. They work to attract pollinators. So we can work with botanicals to attract ourselves, attract others.
Hmm.
Plants also produce these chemicals to detract.
Hmm.
They're chemical messengers saying like to nearby plants or within the plant, insect just bit me. I'm in trouble. This is a distress signal. This is really fascinating. I have some really hardcore research on this. These do work on insects' nervous systems. They also work on ours. So
Hmm.
if you have, let's say lavender has some chemistry in it that can stupefy an insect. Insects are tiny, they have nervous systems. But what may stupefy an insect may just calm us
Hmm.
through the nervous system. So
Hmm.
when you're smelling an oil, we don't even have to put them on topically. I don't even want to get into internal usage of the oils because that's internal medicine. And aromatherapists in this country do not practice internal medicine. We're not allowed to.
Hmm.
So when we're smelling, if I could take you through the 5-layer cake, as I call it. So when we smell an oil, we're smelling volatile chemicals that are lipid loving. That's why they're called an essential oil.
Hmm.
Essential to denote the distillation process, the fifth element, the unseen, the scent, right?
Hmm.
Essential volatile. And then they're called oils because they're oil loving. That's why we must dilute them in a carrier oil. That's why when we smell them, that they can attach to receptor sites in our olfactory nerves.
Hmm.
So essential oil, that's why it's called that. They're fat loving, lipid loving. And when we smell an oil, much happens. We can like and dislike it.
Hmm.
It could be a stranger we never met. Culture can tell us it smells good. So there's a lot happening there.
Hmm.
Scent is attached to memory. We can recall memories through scent. We can form new memories through scent. For your lovely audience, listeners, one thing you could do with oils is they become anchors to help change behaviors. If you're looking to change behavior, you can start to introduce an oil or a blend. And every time you want to do something, you could smell an oil and create an anchor. So that's
So you
really
smell it
powerful.
and then do the new habit or new behavior that
Mhm.
you want to introduce. I love that.
Yeah, or say your mantra or say something affirmative or whatever it is. A lot of psychiatrists, psychotherapists, hypnotherapists work with essential oils just for this reason.
I
So
love
it's
that.
it's powerful. And
Mhm.
then additionally, when we smell an oil, it's connected to, we touched on memory, which is the hippocampus in our limbic system of the amygdala. I think a lot of us talk about fight, flight, raw emotions. The essential oils touch these structures in our heads through, synapses
Mhm.
and recognition. And I want to pause because even if you like an oil and the way it smells, that's good. You're changing your chemistry already by liking something or
Mhm.
disliking.
Mm.
But one thing I want to really bring attention to is back to that insect's nervous system thing. And when we're smelling an oil, we're inhaling it, it goes into our lungs, it goes into our bloodstream. When we're inhaling, we have a lot of nerve endings in our nose and our nasal cavity, but also capillaries, right? And essential oils are lipid loving. They want to attach to our lipid membranes, and things can permeate through these membranes. So we have neurotransmission happening, it's going in the blood.
Mhm.
And I want to pause in a second. I just really want to share something. And I do this for a living. I just had this awesome workshop last week in Brooklyn. 3 minutes with your essential oil through scent, through smelling, a cotton pad, especially from the bottle, but a cotton pad direct palm inhalation, like you said,
Mhm.
you will see a shift in how you feel.
Mhm.
It happens, and that's powerful. And all you need is that 3 minutes.
Mhm. I love that. I do that before bed generally. I have a favorite,
Oh,
my favorite blend at my bedside. I diffuse as well, but um I do that. I put and I just lay there and I just close my eyes and just inhale and it's like it's a little addicting because now I look forward to getting in bed and doing it because I know it's going to relax me. And then I listen to meditation obviously, but not obviously for many, but that's just my routine every night.
yeah, yeah.
And when I don't do it, it's really interesting how I just and like you said with a habit or new behavior, like I feel like something's even though now I meditate and it's like if I don't do that, I feel like I don't get a good night's sleep and something's
Mm,
missing. But just that together, I feel like if I don't inhale my oil before I sleep, in it or diffuse while I'm falling asleep, I just feel like there's something missing. Like my routine is out of sync, and because I so enjoy it, and I think it's just. And it's interesting also when I inhale, it signals my body now that I've been doing it so long that it's time
yeah,
to sleep.
yeah,
Like it's like that, like you said, the anchor is like, okay, now it's time to relax, put the day behind, and just clear my mind and just go to sleep. And it's really been powerful for my sleep.
I
So
love that. I love that.
yeah, yeah,
That is that's aromatherapy in practice,
mhm,
what you're doing.
mhm.
That is,
And I have so many more. I mean, I've made what do you call it? Mm, bath salts with them, like scrubs with them. I make facial scrubs, just a little oil, but gosh, I'm in the midst of making some perfumes because I don't like
mhm,
synthetic perfumes because of all the chemicals in them. So
yep.
um, yeah, so again, there's lots of different ways, and we won't even get into the ingestion because I know ingesting essential oils is very mm, tricky, to say the
Mhm,
least. Between
mhm,
what the type of oil and even the actual plant, what kind, not the type,
mhm,
meaning like the company it's from, because again, not all companies are created equal, but then also the actual essential oil itself. But
yeah.
um, the most common are is scent, right? Aromatherapy, either diffusing or direct application, either on your hands through a carrier oil,
Mhm.
of course, or onto your body. Is that correct?
Yes, if I could just share some history, aromatherapy, as we modernly call it, we
Yep.
inherited from France. It went to England, and in England is where people were trained through massage, through
Mm,
applying essential oils diluted through massage. So really
mhm.
integrated approach. So as you said, yes, topically diluted, and then via smelling, just
Mhm.
pure scent.
I just don't think people can understand quite grasp the impact that just smelling these essential
Yeah.
oils can have. But there's a lot of literature out there, a lot of studies that have been done on essential oils and health benefits.
Mhm.
Um, so let's talk about some specific emotions, because again, a lot of my audience members are dealing with stress and overwhelm, and they're trying to work on their stress management. Of course, we know we can't remove it, but they're trying to manage it.
Mhm.
We're coming out of a really hard time with the pandemic. What um what are like, let's say, three of your favorite oils for how to, for you personally that you would use if you're feeling a little stressed or anxious?
That's really hard because I'll share some oils, but
Yes.
it always depends on the time of year and
Got it.
where I am at. So
Gotcha.
I can't tell you how many oils in my life. Um, but I'd like to share some greatest hits
Yes,
that are
absolutely.
pretty, that people can find. And with aromatherapy, I always kind of get a chuckle when I'm in a workshop or teaching. Um, uh, is you have uppers and kind of modulators and downers. And a lot
Mm,
of folks have kind of met these before, a lot of the aromatics we cook with.
mhm,
So if you find you're feeling groggy during the day, you want that pick me up, but you can't have coffee like me. I can't have coffee after 2 or caffeine. My
mhm,
sleep is so jeopardized. Go and say hello to rosemary. There's a lot of evidence about rosemary with bringing mental clarity, memory retention. Many essential oils, I'm pausing now because essential oils as a class are very antioxidant. So
mhm.
by smelling them, it's great, but incorporating like rosemary the herb I
Yeah.
had in my dinner last night.
Mhm,
You know, so incorporating those is a form of aromatherapy, I say. But rosemary, a great upper. Peppermint,
mhm,
to me, she is a little effervescent. A little goes a very long way. But if you need
mhm,
that kick in the pants to like whoosh, one little bit is all you need.
mhm,
Please keep in mind, more doesn't mean better. You can
mm,
have the opposite effect of what you want. It could
mhm,
become really irritating. So
mhm,
all you need is that one little drop.
mhm,
Many people know frankincense,
mhm,
and frankincense is mind clearing,
mhm,
expansive. I was seeing research, it's shown to work in the spinal column with the TRVP3 pathway, sense of calm and slight warming, and you could say openness. But when you work with it, it opens the lungs, opens the breath, opens the mind, and has that affinity for the crown and the third eye, if we want to
mhm,
start talking in that language.
mhm, mhm,
Many of the resins do. Elemi is another one. Not many people know of Elemi. It's often from the Philippines. Um, this is one thing that's hard to share because each culture, each continent, each area has its aromatic
mhm.
medicine chest. So there's
Interesting.
resins from all over the world. So if you wanted to, we could focus on just oils from North America
Yeah.
or South America.
Yeah, that's I think
Uh,
what the majority of my listeners are in North America. Mhm.
yeah.
Yeah.
So on that to segue into like modulators,
Mhm,
many people know, probably have heard of cedar. If you've
mhm,
been in aromatherapy, the oils, there's Atlas cedar, Cedrus atlantica is the Latin name, Cedrus deodora. And
mhm,
then in North America, someone that's a good, if you need stability and strength, and I call it grandfather energy, that to support that yang, to support stableness. Juniperus virginiana is one native to North America on the East
mhm,
Coast. And every time I'm by those cedars, walking out on Long Island, or they're stable, quiet, calming, but they're not going to make you feel like bam, like rosemary, or
mhm,
maybe not like lavender or chamomile, where you feel like you want to go settle and cozy up.
mhm,
So the woods are really nice that way.
mhm,
Who else was coming to mind? Darn it. It's to support you further, getting into a little more calming.
mhm,
There's so many. Vetiver is one,
mhm,
has a lot of evidence for working with PTSD trauma. If you need to calm and feel be held,
mhm,
vetiver gives you that place. It really, when I have it, I public speaking and I smell vetiver, my whole body cools down and I feel so supported and calm.
mm,
And that's through smelling.
mhm,
Another balancer, there's 2 balancers that I think people have seen: rose geranium,
mhm,
Pelargonium graveolens, and a sister is Palmarosa.
mm,
Great supportive. She's related to lemongrass,
mhm,
Cymbopogon martinii. 2 really balancing oils, self-confidence supporting, helps you feel in yourself. Also lovely
mhm,
in skincare. Into the really calming bedtime.
mhm,
Vetiver is nice in there as well. Same with those geranium and palmarosa. Just 2 weeks ago, I was distilling German chamomile flowering tops. I'm just telling you this because I distilled for 4 hours in our 4-season room. My dog, we have a 13-year-old Shiba Inu who never wants to spend time with me more than like 10 minutes. She was sleeping by the still for 3 hours.
mm.
That is a message of chamomile. The chamomile we drink, German chamomile,
Mhm.
calming, not sleeping. If you
Mhm.
really want to support sleep and have that like feel you're in the poppy field in the Wizard of Oz, Roman chamomile
Mm.
is a classic sedative, as is high lavandula angustifolia is a classic go to sleep one. If you mix those two, I hope you have a good night's sleep. So I shared a bunch of oils. I hope
Mm.
that was coming across. There's so many
Yeah,
others
no.
to share,
Yeah,
but
no, and you hit on sleep too, because that was another area that because I know you know how important sleep is to overall health. And so a lot of women, again, in my world, have trouble sleeping, whether it be hormonal changes or whether it be stress and like their overworking mind. And so I think it's super important to help them with just aids as far as like, yes, they're working on their sleep hygiene, but what else can we use to help them? Quick question I had as you're talking, is it more potent to or is there no right answer, to diffuse or to put, directly in your hands and inhale? And would you recommend one over the other?
um, I have to say this is a personal choice.
Yep.
So I choose to not diffuse because I'm around
Okay.
the oils every day.
Mhm.
They're in my life. I'm always blending or planning or something. I always am smelling them. They're with me. And I want to say something, I think it's not controversial, but I have not been sick since I've been an aromatherapist.
Mm.
So I'm around those oils, and I know many people that work with oils all the time, and they aren't like respiratory illnesses. We can have
Mhm.
our own different
Yep.
diseases and stuff, but
Yep.
like the infectious type sickness. So I think that's interesting to
That
share.
is interesting. Mhm.
Yeah. But I just choose not to diffuse. If I was sick, I'm just going to go show you a nebulizing.
Yeah.
If I would feel sick, I would choose to use a nebulizing diffuser. So this, you put pure essential oil in with no water. And
Oh,
this just pumps and breaks up the molecules into fine, minute drops and permeates the air around you.
I'm actually
So
writing that down. Where that's actually really cute, cool. I've never seen that.
yeah, these are really potent. So aromatherapists historically, so if you go to a hospital and you have the
Yeah.
nebulizer,
Yep.
right, it's the same principle. But these are really impactful for cleansing air, respiratory congestion. Would be nice if you diffused. This always should be on a timer. I have
Yep.
stuff on my website. There's places like the National Association for Holistic Aromatherapy for guidelines as well, the Alliance of International Aromatherapists for guidelines, but diffuse for like 5 to 10 minutes in your room and then turn it off. This is a tip. If you want to diffuse before you're doing something. Don't diffuse during bedtime or whatever. You just
Mhm.
need the molecules in the air.
Mhm.
But I personally, I only diffuse occasionally. I love smelling the oils, the scent strip, the roller ball, where you
Mhm.
might have like 10 drops of a blend or something in this diluted. And I love, again, this is personal. Other
Yep.
people could disagree. I love the roller ball like twice a day. I roll along my jawline, 1, 2, 3 on one side, 1, 2, 3, feels good on the lymph. And for emotion, stress, it always works with me because it's thin skin. Yes, you're smelling it, but it's thin skin
Mhm.
and it's personal. The thing about diffusion I don't love is my husband doesn't love the oils.
Mhm. My
You
kids
know,
don't either. Mhm.
yeah. So if it's a public thing, so if I can keep it personal, like in a roller ball or in like direct palm or from the bottle,
Mhm.
I enjoy that. I
Mhm.
know it's beneficial.
Yep. Yeah.
Um,
I generally
but
diffuse in the living area only when someone's sick. Or I just yeah, that's pretty much it. I'll either diffuse something immune supportive or
mhm,
cleansing for the
yep,
environment. Before we move on, can we you did touch on your dog. Can we talk about the dangers of essential oils with pets? I have a
yeah, of
cat and a
course.
dog. Mhm.
So you're a great, right? So essential oils, we touched on earlier how incredibly concentrated they are.
Yep.
So you just need a little bit. That's why if you do diffuse, it's diffused on a timer. You're only using a couple drops.
Mhm.
Dogs can handle essential oils in a sense because they can metabolize the chemistry. But please don't put essential oils directly on your pets, especially your dog. I'll get into cats and birds and reptiles in a second. They're smaller than us. Um, I prefer using the hydrosols with my dog. I have worked with them for calming, like chamomile. I'll spray her bed. I'll
Okay.
spray my hands and rub her ears. She
Okay.
doesn't like the car, so I've done that. If you're to diffuse when they're not in the room, always have the door open. For
Hmm.
cats, especially, and birds and reptiles, they don't have the liver enzymes to process the terpenes. That's what
Yep.
essential oils are made of. Are the backbone is the terpene. They can't process these, so these chemicals can build up, and the cat, reptile, bird can become sick.
Hmm.
So many people have cats in their lives and birds. If you want to diffuse when they're not in the room,
Okay.
have the window open, make sure they have ways to get out. But the core takeaway is some of our beloveds can't physically process these chemicals in their body, and there can be a buildup in some really bad health situations.
Okay. So I hear
So
that it's not necessarily acute, it's chronic, like a toxin burden,
yeah,
like a
build,
buildup.
yeah,
Yep. Okay.
yeah.
Because we all know that our livers are our major detoxifiers. And if they can't detox, yeah. Okay. Really important because I actually have a whole book on aromatherapy for pets. Just because
Oh,
I
I should.
knew, yeah, I have lots of aromatherapy books, just because I want to make sure I do it right. I never, I respect everything. I respect vitamins, minerals, herbs, plants, essential, oils extracted from plants. And I know they're super powerful and potent, and there can be interactions and side effects and all the things. So like I know personally when I use them, I want to make sure I'm educated when I use them.
Yeah.
I by no means I'm an expert, but I have the resources that I can look it up. And I also love to use them for specific, and I know we're not going to get into illnesses, but
Mhm.
if something's going on in the house, I would, like to be able to back up what I'm doing naturally with oils to help
Yeah.
expedite the process. And again, my kids don't love oils, but when they're not feeling well, mom gets the oils out and they're like, "Oh, here comes mom rubbing some oils on my feet."
Yeah.
I've been doing this since they were little, and I'm like, "You're sick now, but let's try to, expedite the process and get you back
Yeah.
on your feet and feel better." And it, generally always works. So,
Hmm.
um anyhow, I feel I just one other little emotion that we're going to get into because I
Mm.
actually help women with libido, and from a perspective of connection more than anything, because I find a lot of women now just are so disconnected, not only with themselves, but they're actually, I should say, not only with their partners, but with themselves. So we're trying to reconnect with self and partner. And then obviously it leads to where it leads, but and again, these are not quick fixes. And I want the
Mhm.
audience to know, like, never do I recommend a supplement or, you know, prescription medication, even if there's not really one out there that helps all women. But like these are just extra resources to help when we're working on the foundational things. But like as far as like aromatherapy for, I don't want to even say aphrodisiac, but just basically, you know, connection.
Mhm.
What are some of the go-tos for that?
I love that question. So I for essential oils to help with sensuality.
Yeah, that's exactly what my
And
question was, sensuality.
yeah, yeah. So being in the body, embodiment, in the one that there's many, and I'm about to say an oil that some people don't like, so
Okay.
just bear with me. Patchouli
Oh,
helps
yeah.
you sink into your hips,
Mm,
helps you embody, helps you sink, helps you feel like the outside doesn't matter as much.
mhm,
And some folks have that bad adulterated high school hacky sack boyfriend memory of bad
mhm,
patchouli. There are some gorgeous examples of patchouli out there. I grow it every summer and I distill it for its aromatic water. But patchouli, um, I'm just pausing and thinking because rose comes in there. I want to go back to the rose, geranium, and palmarosa. So if you take like patchouli and rose, which is super expensive, or the geranium, the palmarosa, you have to feel your self acceptance, self confidence. So if you take sinking into your hips with patchouli, you take one of those other ones, or you layer something in like jasmine, which is not a pure essential oil. She's too delicate for the still. We need to use solvent extraction.
mhm,
Or Ilan Ilan. Ilan
mhm,
Ilan has similar characteristics. Ilan Ilan is potent, but if you take that one drop and maybe like 5 drops of patchouli, you mix that up, 1 drop of rose, heck, 1 drop of vetiver, and you put that in 1 ounce of carrier oil. The Ilan Ilan is like jasmine. Jasmine is known to be like aphrodisiac, and
Mhm.
Ilan Ilan is similar. It helps you like float away into your brain. Like
Mhm.
you want to feel languid. That's what the
Mhm.
word for me is, languid and easeful. And who else? There's a couple others, but those are some of the real sensual ones.
Mhm.
I'm
I
thinking
love
not
it.
so much Neroli. Who was on the tip of my tongue? Oh, that's it. Some, if you want a little explosivity, explosiveness, and this goes into female health too. I have some two greatest hits for clary sage.
Mhm.
I've had some people totally get to a state of euphoria. And maybe
Mhm.
that's not where you want to go. That's why I like to start with patchouli, and then
Mhm.
you can layer things in, or the vetiver or sandalwood as your
Mhm.
base.
Mhm.
And then you can layer in the other ones I said, and like a touch of the jasmine. But so again, clary sage can be beneficial for working with estrogen as we get
Mhm.
older into
Mhm.
perimenopause. And some people it has a euphoric effect. Not everybody, but
Mhm.
I've had people get out of control, like, oh my God, which is really wild. Another one, again, I didn't think I'd go here, but I want to be helpful. I've had some good clinical experience with clary sage and vitex berry.
Mhm. Chase Berry. Mhm. Yep.
Yep. I'll use the software balancing.
Yep.
So if your hormones are feeling like irritable, the hot flushes, which we're not going to be help sleep, we're not going to feel sexy. I've had success with clients, and I know other people that have had success with a mix of clary sage and vitex berry.
That's super helpful. Thank you. Yes, and
Yep.
don't worry, there's always a disclaimer at the beginning that these are our
Yeah.
opinions. So, don't
Yeah.
worry, but yeah, that's and it's something that I often recommend supplement wise also. So I
Mhm.
think it's a huge resource for women in the perimenopausal years, definitely,
Yeah.
but adding it in oil form in clary sage and and then inhaling. Yes?
Yeah,
Or putting in a
inhaling, definitely inhaling. I'm a huge fan of the aromatic waters, so I have
okay.
sold and given to clients the hydrosol mixture of clary sage and Vitex hydrosol. Not easy to find. So,
I was
like you
just gonna
said, the
say,
supplement
yeah.
version, you can
Yeah.
find Vitex Agnes Castus essential oil. Just look online.
Yep.
I'm going to be upfront. I'm not a brand person, but the current brand I have of Vitex, I have two. I have one from Zayat Aroma up in Canada.
Mhm.
And then I have, give me a second, Castus, another person, she's in Tennessee, called Nature's Gift.
Okay.
I've gotten fresh Vitex from there because I was running low on my Zayat one. But yeah, I want to circle back to, so if you're the hot flushes and stuff, if you're not sleeping well, you're not going to feel sexy. So that holistic approach of,
Yeah.
you start one way. If you're not feeling sexy, maybe you start with the patchouli, vetiver, rose,
Mhm.
ylang jasmine, or maybe you start like, oh, you can say, I'm having the hot flushes or feeling unbalanced.
Mhm.
Honestly, the palmarosa and rose geranium are really lovely balancers.
Mhm.
Um, so let's start, like, what's your entry point, right? So I just rattled off a bunch of stuff there, but if you're like, I want to feel more sexy, what's Amy talking about? So maybe you start there.
Yeah.
And smelling, honestly, just smelling it. Like I said, I have on my website a video on how to smell an essential oil. I coach you. I
I
write
love it.
meditations on these, but it's like, you sit and you smell, and you just sit. And one thing I want to encourage everyone, when you're smelling, try not to think of it smells like this, it reminds me of that. I've conditioned myself to smell and try to be neutral,
Mhm.
to try to notice, where is it hitting me in my body over minutes? And then I'll
Mhm.
do it again after I take a break. So to really embody and notice, is it hitting me in my lower abdomen? Is it hitting me in my chest? It's like, that's the secret
Mhm.
to working with the smell, with olfaction.
Mhm.
And noticing, if you're smelling patchouli, is it helping you sink into your body? Like, I feel it every time it does that to me.
Mhm. Yeah, I love patchouli. Actually, I think I'm running low on mine. And I'm like using it very sparingly. So, um No, this has been super helpful because I think it gives us a nice little range of things to try and layer on for the effect that we want. And especially for the Vitex. So to combine the clary sage and the Vitex oils, because now we have a
Mhm.
great resource. Because I don't think I've often seen
Yeah.
Vitex in an essential oil. Um, in lieu of someone ingesting it, because there's a lot of people I work with that they take, they don't want to ingest another supplement or they don't want to take
Yeah.
any supplements if possible. Um, so if they can't find the hydrosol, like just if just do you believe in putting oils in say like a distilled water and spraying or put it in a carrier
Oh,
oil in application?
yes, you touched on one of my favorites. So I love the rollerball applicator. We
Yep.
talked about what I love spritzers.
Spritzers.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, aromatic spritzers. I love it. So holistic aromatherapy, it's like 2 ounce here. Here's I wish you were in my office with me.
I know,
I
me too.
have this spring cleanse blend I made. I featured it on one of my Luna Aroma episodes, featuring lemongrass and palmarosa. Uh, about 30 drops of your blend in
Okay.
distilled water
Yep.
or the hydrosol. So if you want to put rose water in here and your, 25 to 30 drops essential oil, shake before using. Here's a secret. It's not a secret, but spray your face 1, 2, 3, spray
Mhm,
the back of your neck. I
mhm.
love it if you can get it into your hair. Getting the
Mm,
oils on your hair is a beautiful carrier to
mm.
have the molecules on you, but not on your skin.
Love
So
that.
definitely spritzers. I'm sorry I didn't mention them before. I'm a
No,
huge fan.
I think they've been kind of lingering in my brain. I just didn't know how to deliver that way. But there was one other question that was like really oh, yes. So you talk about smelling oils all day. And no, now I know, we all know going into the beauty store, Sephora, Ulta, all the perfumes along the edge, and they all have coffee beans to smell in between the
Oh,
perfumes. Can you talk to us about like smelling different oils? And even throughout the day, like I know you say, like just put one on and like just let it be and not just go from oil to oil, but like cleansing, not the palate, the olfactory
mhm.
system. Like, how do we do that between smelling oils?
Yeah, that's a really important question. I'm glad you brought it up. So the coffee beans is a perfumer's trick.
Okay. Yep.
Also, the other trick that's more effective and doesn't cost anything is you smell your own skin. So just
Okay.
smell the inside of your elbow, like whatever you call your inner elbow. Because there is always a residual effect. There is the evidence that if you work with lavender, especially topically, I think the evidence
Hmm.
is, but smelling, 20 minutes later, the molecules are detected in the blood. So you have this effect. It's like when you smell it and leave it, it's still with you. So you
Hmm.
have the residual. So smell the inside of your arm to cleanse your olfactory palate, but also walk around. When I see clients here in my home practice, I have them walk up and down the hallway. I have a loft type apartment. I have the windows open, fans are on, breathe fresh air.
Hmm.
You need that break.
Okay.
Just to share this, when I blend, and I was blending this morning before yoga, when I start to feel thirsty, a little heady, I know I overdid it and I need to leave my apartment for
Hmm.
fresh air,
Hmm.
even if I have fans on and stuff and the windows open. I hope
Hmm.
I answered your question.
Yeah, no, that's perfect. Yeah, absolutely. And speaking of blending, we'll start wrapping this up in a second, but I have so many questions. When it comes to blending, again, I'm going to start dabbling in this myself with making some perfume blends, and I've dabbled in the spritzers. Do
Mhm.
you like, and I know you're supposed to, I always said quotes, like supposed to let it set and like let the high notes and low notes, like it sounds the reason I have to be honest, the reason I have not made a perfume, it feels so hard, like complicated. You have the high notes and the low notes and the middle notes and this many of this drops. I'm like,
Yep.
oh, how do I know like what I want to add? Right. It seems I like to get it right the first time, but just can
No.
you talk to us a little bit more about blending these oils?
Yeah, it's a whole art of blending. So you're
Okay.
touching on, as the aromatherapist, you're taught you blend with your core intention in mind and you work to that. And honestly, when you look at your blending, you go by your dilution rates and you'll say, I want a holistic mist for perimenopause. I'm probably going to put generally 30 drops in my 2-ounce bottle. And you can find these
Okay.
dilution rates, the National Association for Holistic Aromatherapy. There's some on my website. You could look for those sources, but you start like, I need 30 drops and work backwards.
Okay.
And when you blend in aromatherapy, you can have people that are really clinical and say, I'm going to blend for inflammation or sleep, and I'm going to be really regimented. But I've learned I take perfumery into account. I have perfumer's wheels. I blend for olfaction, and other people do. I'm not unique here. So I'll take my intention of hot flushes or sleep.
Yep.
And then, like you said, I pick my oils and I blend and I let them sit.
Mm-hmm.
I do not go and just directly use them. I let them sit. And that's part of the perfumery. Because if you thought like, crap, I just put too much frankincense in, guess what? 24 hours later, it's going to be totally different.
Okay.
So have that, I don't like that word patience, but that like work with it like it's a creation of yours, and you can give yourself permission to add another drop of something.
Yeah. And it's not to say without patience you can't use it, right? You can use it. It just might
Oh
change
yeah, yeah.
the scent in the next 24 hours plus. So I think that's the thing I don't like waiting. Cause like when I do it, I'm like, okay, I'm gonna use it. I'm gonna do it and use it. And it's like I have to wait. I don't want to wait. I want to use it. But yeah. So I
No,
think go ahead.
you'll love it. You'll
Yeah,
love it if you can wait that 24 hours, you'll see a difference.
I
And
love it.
that's the beauty of blending, is you could be a perfumer, because
Hmm.
perfumer used to be medicine until the 1800s.
Hmm.
It it's a beautiful thing to make these creations. So
Final
I'm excited.
Yeah, final question, I promise. I promise. I mean, like related to aromatherapy. Uh, when it comes to purchasing like bottles to put it in, do you prefer glass? Does it have to be dark? Can it be plastic?
Great question. So these are gorgeous chemicals, right? And like things like lemon and tea tree, things that are really high in the monoterpenes,
Yep.
the class is called. They're solvent-like. So you don't want to use plastic. If you need to, use PET plastic, but the best of the best is glass.
Okay.
When I make products, I prefer, because it's pretty, I use frosted bottles,
Mhm.
but essential oils, they should be kept away from heat and temperature fluctuations. I can speak. Uh, Keep them from oxygen. They oxidize readily. Several
Okay.
of them do. So you want the oils in the brown bottles with little air in them, like a fine wine, like a fine,
Mhm.
expensive perfume. But
Gotcha.
glass is king. It's non-reactive.
Okay, love that. I thought that was going to be your response. And
Yeah.
oxidizing probably is like oxidizing, cooking oils. Like we don't want to do
Mhm.
that because increased free radicals, because we are
Yeah.
essentially inhaling or these molecules or putting them on our body, in which case they're going through our skin. So same effects,
Mhm.
correct? Okay.
Yes.
All right. So I had more questions because I just love oils, but like let's just wrap it up because it's getting long and we could probably talk another 2 hours. But um and it was basically your favorites, but I know you have lots of favorites, and so I'm not gonna put you in that little box of saying your favorites. So you kind of told us your favorites for certain conditions,
Yeah.
which is awesome, or emotions.
Yeah.
Do you have, on a personal note, do you have I know before we got on, you did something special, you did some yoga and you were making some blends, but do you have a specific morning routine that you do to kind of get your day started?
I do. And I'm pleased to share that I didn't have this routine until probably 3 years ago. And I found that the more we can surround ourselves with great people in our lives, the better we are. So I have some really upbeat people in my life now. And I try to say good morning to myself and stretch as soon as I wake up. And I say good morning as positively as possible in my mind. So I'm not waking my spouse, but it brightens my mindset.
Mm.
And for years prior, I always have woken up and have a glass of warm water,
Mhm.
like a cup, like 8 ounces.
Mhm.
But recently, on top of my stretch and good morning, and that's how I say good morning, um, I drink more water. Like
Mhm.
I'm giving you this much. What is that? Like
Yeah.
16
Yeah,
ounces.
by 16, yeah.
Because honestly, I'm looking for a bowel movement and not being dependent on coffee.
Mm.
So when I'm doing my larger glass of water now, room temperature, always room temperature for years, I want to have my bowel movement. And then my special treat this past year, I wake up a little before 7. I do my water stretch, good morning. And then I go and get my little cappuccino and I sit and I read for like 10 minutes at my favorite coffee shop. And I
Mm.
get to watch the city be quiet. I live by Union
Mm.
Square
Mm-hmm.
here in
Yep.
Manhattan. So I like to, that's my routine. And
I
it
love
gives
that.
me a quiet headspace before I just
Mm.
start.
It's interesting. Is there a quiet time in Manhattan? Like, and I never like I wouldn't think there's ever a quiet time in the city. Like, there's always people around.
There are, but 10th Street where I'm going now, it's just this little block that's always been kind of sleepy for New
Okay.
York.
Yeah.
But
It's all
yeah.
relative.
Yeah.
What about in the evening? Is there anything special you do at night to wind down before bed?
So no, I
Okay.
I want to share something about me. I love baths. I've always loved baths. I used to take a lot of them in my teens and into my early 20s. And now I'm like, Amy, you need to get back. So this past weekend, I had no husband, no dog, and I took a bath.
Mm,
And that's a way I want to make a promise to myself.
mm,
So I'm going to be I'm going to be you. I'm going to make a blend that I want to
mhm,
use
mhm,
consistently to get in that bath to say, Amy, go to bed.
mhm. It's time to take a bath and go to bed. Yep. I
Yeah.
love that.
I
And final question that's been on this podcast for 4+ years now. What's one thing that you know now that you wish you knew 5, 10, 15 years ago?
This sounds silly. It's not silly, but you hear it's okay to say no.
Mm,
I always found as a stereotypical woman, I was always like, oh, I'll do that. Sure, I'll take that on. I'll say yes, I'll do
mm,
that. And as a growing aromatherapist, yes, yes, it's okay to say no.
mhm,
That's my big thing. And you knew it, but to actually practice it. So
mhm,
now I'm like listening to myself. If my heart of hearts is like, you don't want to do that,
mhm,
just Amy, just decline, just say no. It's
mm.
okay.
I love
Because
that.
it's about you too. It's not always about pleasing other people or getting the experience. They're saying, it's like, no, you know what? No,
Mhm. It's funny you say that because
that's,
I think the women in my world hear me say that a lot, and that's part of our stress management system because we're yesers, we're people pleasers, we want to be liked, and
yep.
we think that if we say no, we're not going to be liked, and that's not the case. So, and that's just getting a grasp on your mental clarity and sanity and a little self care mixed in there. So, I love that. So, thank you for hitting home something that I always talk about and that you practice yourself. And it's nice to see somebody as even in the city, lots of friends and like bustling business, so she says no to people. She says no. So my audience, I'm sure will want to be where you are, learn more from you because you again are a wealth of knowledge, and there's just so many nuances with these oils, and I just think so much that we can learn from you. Where can they connect with you? Where do you hang out most? Is it social media? Is it your website? Um, just share with
Yeah.
us where we can find more about you.
Thank you for asking and allowing me to share. So you'll find me on Instagram as at NYC Aromatica. Uh, and I'm on there as a business necessity. I don't love social media,
Mm-hmm.
but my website, I have a lot of info on there.
Mm-hmm.
I have free classes, pay what you wish classes, DIYs, articles like on Elon. I have a video about patchouli. Um, so nycaromatica.com, please
Okay.
find me there. And also I have a niche podcast. It is very aromatherapy centric, called Essential Aromatica. But if you and your guests or your listeners are interested, this year I have a special project I worked on for several years called Luna Aroma.
Mm-hmm.
It's a new moon series that takes seasonal themes. I pair it with an essential oil, and I have a guided aromatic encounter, as I call it, as a way to connect with you, nature, aromatherapy. So thank
Love
you
that.
for asking and letting me share.
Yeah, I've already been stalking your podcast. I just haven't gotten so far as to stalk your website yet because I usually do that before the episode. But I was
Yeah.
stalking your Instagram. Yeah. So, but again, I just knew you could add so much value as far as educating us on this beautiful art of aromatherapy. So thank you so much. And hopefully I can get down to the city and come visit or take one of your classes someday because I'm not too far from you.
Oh,
I'm in Albany, New York, so we're not too far away from each other. But
No.
yeah, so thank you so much. And I appreciate you and all the good that you're doing in this world and for women and men. But again, I
Yeah.
work with women. And just thank you. I appreciate you.
Thank you, doctor. This has been fabulous.
Well, I hope you enjoyed this episode of The Real Heal and that you learned something new. And with that, I'm out of here. Talk to you again soon.